I'm pretty sure you're right. Because we did 22. 22 was the protein episode.
Was it 23 the question?
23 was the questions.
And there wasn't one since then.
And there wasn't one since then. So 24. Hey everybody, this is Jerry Scarlata, and we just figured out that this is episode 24 of Thrive TV. And today we're going to talk about the Turkish Getup. This is a kettlebell move that everyone should be doing, no matter if your goal is weight loss, putting on muscle, running, hiking, whatever your goal is. The Turkish Getup is something that you should be doing because it will afford some sort of benefit that will translate into whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Whether it is weight loss, your body loves movements that it doesn't understand how to do, inefficient movement, and Turkish Getup is an inefficient movement, and it typically is for a long period of time. As far as building strength goes, holding a weight overhead, having to stabilize it requires a lot of strength and a ton of stability whenever you're developing that movement. And then as far as everything else goes, I mean, really, it's very good for bringing up asymmetries on either side because you have to do one side of your body and then you do the other side of your body. What you come to realize, which everyone realizes whenever they start to do the get up, is that the left side of their body, well, at least for people who are right-handed, and even for a lot of people who are left-handed, because we live in a right-hand dominant world, for the left side of your body, it's always a lot harder. Your body doesn't understand how to move as well on that side, so the pattern is just not quite there. So it's always harder on your left side. And getting that asymmetry up is important for helping to possibly prevent injury in the future. When you have asymmetries in your body, a lot of times that's what creates injuries, whether it's low back injury or any type of injury that you can possibly have in the future. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to go over all of our progressions. We're going to start from the very basic, and we're going to go work all the way up to a get up. We have 4 progressions that we use. The hardcore kettlebell aficionados may not be exactly on point with how we do things around here, but this is what works for us, and this is what we found that works best for getting people from point A to point Z, okay, when doing a Turkish Getup. So our first progression that we'll do, and I'm going to talk about all of them right now, and then Sharon's going to help us go through them step by step. Our first progression that we do is just a simple straight leg sit-up. And a lot of times this is hard enough for people to accomplish. A lot of times this is harder for people to accomplish than doing our second progression, which is the half get up. But we like to start with straight leg sit-up because we really want to start strengthening your obliques, your rectus, and your hip flexors to be able to really control yourself whenever you start getting into your get-ups. So our first progression is straight leg sit-up. We typically start with body weight, and then we move into weight overhead. Our next progression is half get up, and then 3/4, and then full get up. So we're going to go through all of them now and show you how they're done, and then tell you where to put them into your program as you move forward. So like I said, the first thing that we do is a straight leg sit up. Let's start with body weight first, and then we'll use your kettlebell. All right. The first thing that we do is straight leg sit up. Now with your straight leg sit up, you want to make sure that your legs are straight. Okay, straight leg sit up. Whenever we're starting with body weight, we start with our hands crossed over our chest. We want to keep our legs as straight as possible, and our toes pointed to the sky. And also make sure that as we sit up, our feet don't come off the ground. As you start to move, your first one especially will be the hardest. As you start to move, your feet will want to come off the ground, so you really have to dig those heels in. So what we're going to do, go ahead and give me 3 of these as slow and basic as possible. We're going to come up and reach to the sky, okay, with our hands. Now notice she's driving her feet into the ground, and she's coming up and she's reaching up to the sky, okay? This is whenever we're using body weight. Now, whenever you can do 3 sets of 12 straight leg sit-ups with body weight, then you want to grab some weight. You can use a kettlebell, or you can use a plate, or you can use a dumbbell, whatever you'd like to choose. Now, whenever we move to our weight, we're starting with our arms extended overhead. Now, this is the beginning of our get up progression, because with get ups, you will eventually the weight is over your head the whole time, but you're only using one arm. Okay, so this is the start of using weight overhead. Okay, so we're going to start with our arms extended, and then from there, go ahead and give me 3, just like you did last time. From there, we're doing the same movement, making sure that our feet are staying on the ground, and you're driving the feet away from you as you sit up, and then we're up nice and tall at the top, finishing nice and tall at the top. Now, as she's doing this, like I said, she's strengthening her obliques, her rectus, and her hip flexors as she sits up and sits down. And a lot of times, it's the hip flexors that really give people trouble as far as strength-wise. It's the hip flexors that really give people trouble getting up and getting down. Not as much the core, although most people's core is very Cores are very weak. I didn't do well in English. Most people's cores are very weak as well. So the hip flexors are what most of the time is causing the issues. So once we get to 3 sets of 12 with some amount of weight, 10 to 20 pounds is fine. Once you get 3 sets of 12, then you can move on to your half get up. Okay? And again, with our get ups, we start everyone with body weight. So we're going to go through a body weight half get up, and then from then on, everything that we'll show you will be with a weight. Okay? So we're going to start on our right side. Okay? And whenever we get started, okay, if we're doing a right-handed get up and the weight's in our right hand, we want to make sure that our right foot is nice and flat. You don't want your foot tucked in too close to your butt, and you don't want it too far out. All right? So we want to make sure it's nice and flat, that it's far away from our butt so that we're not cramped in. Your left arm is away from you at about a 45-degree angle, as well as your left leg away from you at about a 45-degree angle. Okay? Again, just like we did with our straight leg sit-up, we made sure that our feet were staying on the ground and we're pushing them away from us. With our off leg, we want to make sure it stays on the ground and we're pushing it away from us as we go into our roll. Okay? So from here, she's going to keep her eyes on her hand or on her kettlebell the whole time. At least until we get to kneeling, which isn't until 3/4, so we'll get to that in a second. But as she does her half get up, she's going to keep her eyes on her kettlebell. All right? So her first thing that she's going to do is roll up to her elbow. Okay? Go ahead, up to your elbow. Good. Now notice once she gets up here, she's maintaining a neutral spine. She's up nice and tall. Chest is up to the sky. Back leg is nice and straight. Hands still flat on the floor. Elbows right underneath of her. Foot still flat. Knee is still vertical. All right? The next thing that she's going to do is slide her hand where her elbow was. Okay? Again, neutral spine once she gets up. Hand where her elbow was. Left arm is nice and long now. Down leg, off leg is still nice and straight. Foot pushed away. And right foot is nice and flat. Okay? Our next step and our last step of our half get up is hips up off the ground. Okay? Go ahead and drive the hips up. Good job. How long can you stay there?
As long as you need me to.
All right. Now notice, her left hand is she's a straight line from here all the way down to her left hand. Her eyes are still on her bell. All right, she's maintaining a neutral spine. Her left leg is nice and straight. Her right foot is flat on the ground. This shin is vertical, which is great. Okay? And our transition after this is going to be the hard part. We're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to make sure and hang on to this for another couple seconds because she's starting to shake, which means she's starting to work a little bit. Okay? So now we have to go back down. All right? So all we're doing is reversing everything. So we're going to go bring our hips back down to the floor. Good. Neutral spine. Back leg's nice and straight. Arm is straight underneath. Okay, we're going to slide our hand out and replace our hand with our elbow. Nice job. Elbow's down on the ground now. Legs still nice and straight, neutral spine. Right foot is flat. And then we're going to go straight to our back, nice and slow, under control. Good. And now we're back into the position from whence we started. Okay? So, now we're going to work on weight. She's going to get weight, and we're going to do our half get up with weight, and then we're going to do our 3/4 get up and full get up. Let's do your right side. You can start fetal position on your right, and then roll and press. They won't be able to see you on this side. So what she was starting to do, whenever you do a get up with weight, which once you get there, you'll always do a get up with weight. But whenever you do a get up with weight, you start in a fetal position on your right side, because when you start to actually, just relax for a sec. When you start to actually use weight, what you don't want to do is start on your back and then jerk the weight up and then have to press it up overhead, because getting the weight overhead under control is the important part in stabilizing. A lot of times, the weight that you're going to use is going to be heavier than the weight that you can actually press with your shoulder or with your chest up overhead. So we want to get to that. We want to roll and press with two hands to get the weight overhead, so that we can keep it under control and not hurt our shoulder as we get it up. Okay? So go ahead and start on your right side, and we'll roll and press. Good. Now you notice she was fetal position on her right, and she rolled and pressed, and she opened straight up. Her right foot's flat. Her right arm is nice and straight overhead. Left leg is 45 degrees. Left arm is 45 degrees. Okay? This is just where we were whenever we were using body weight. All the movements are going to be the same. Her eyes are going to be on her bell. Okay? And we're going to do our half get up just like we did with our body weight. So we're going to roll up to our elbow. Good. We're up. Nice neutral spine. Leg is straight away. Okay? We're going to replace our elbow with our hand. Good. Neutral spine. Leg is straight away. We're going to drive our hips to the sky. Nice. Nice neutral spine. Leg is straight away. Straight line from hand to hand. Good. Hips back down. Nice neutral spine. Replace your elbow with your hand. Good. And then we'll go all the way to your back. Nice. So we just did that. Go ahead and relax your arm for a sec. Okay. That was the same thing we did with body weight. Now we're going to go into our 3/4 get up. And this transition, our leg sweep that we're going to go over right now, is the hardest part for people to get. The half get up, that's an easy movement for people to get. It's the transition from hips up to leg sweep under to a lunge position. That's hard to get, because the knee placement is the hard thing to understand. Where your knee needs to go in order to get you into a position to be able to come up into a lunge is what's hard to understand. So we're going to try and take our time and get through that. Go ahead and start.
Wait.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to start fetal position on the right, roll and press. Okay, we're going to come up to our elbow. Good, come up to our hand. Drive the hips up. Okay, now she's going to take the pressure off of this leg and sweep it underneath of her. And as she sweeps, she has to place her knee back by her back hand to get her into a stable position. Stay there for a sec. Notice as she swept, she put her knee back by her hand, shot it by her hand. Now she's in a more stable position to get herself up into a lunge so that we can stand up to finish our get up whenever we get into our full get up. Go ahead and bring your shoulders up nice and tall. Good. Now fix that back leg for me. Good. Now, keep that right arm as straight as you can. Okay, right arm is still straight. She stands up, or she sits up, and she has a nice neutral spine. She has to windshield wiper this back leg to get herself ready to stand up for her get up. Okay? Go ahead and relax. Give me this. I'll take this. You keep the right hand up for a sec. Now notice the other thing that she did was she finally took her eyes off the bell. Once she sat up into her lunge position, she finally took her eyes off of her kettlebell and her eyes are forward. That's when you take your eyes off your bell. So hips up off the ground, legs sweep through, eyes are still on your bell. Once you get into your lunge position, eyes can come off the bell, okay? And we come up and we come back down. Eyes are still off the bell. And then once we get our leg back out, then our eyes go back in. I'm getting ahead of myself big time, so we're going to go back down. Okay, I'm going to hand this back to you. Keep that right arm nice and straight. Okay, so the first two things that we have to do, we have to windshield wiper our back leg to get into a stable position, to get our hand back down to the floor. Go ahead and get your hand back down. Good. She still has a good hinge here. She has a good hinge. Nice neutral spine, straight line from here, from hand to hand. Good. Go ahead and sweep your leg out. Nice leg sweep. Now she's back in her half get up position. Legs straight out. Straight line from hand to hand. Foot's nice and flat. Neutral spine. Good. Hips down. Neutral spine. Straight line from hand to hand. Good. Down to your elbow. Neutral spine. Straight line from hand to elbow. Good. All the way to your back. Nice. And relax for a sec. So, that transition, okay, from hips up to leg sweep is the hardest one to get. Let's do that with body weight. I want to get you to your hips up, and then I just want to work on the transition for a couple minutes, all right? Maybe a couple minutes, we'll see. All right, elbow, hand, hips up. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go through this just step by step so you really get it. So she's taking the pressure off this leg, so all of her pressure, all of her weight has to be maintained by this leg, the leg that's on the foot that's on the ground, and the hand that's on the ground. Okay, go ahead and start your sweep. Okay, so she sweeps the foot through, and then she shoots her knee back towards her hand. All right, so she has a nice base between here and here. But you don't want to have this knee straight back behind your foot because, again, you have to have a base. If it's straight behind your foot, then getting up is going to be an issue. Go ahead and bring yourself up nice and tall. Okay, so she sits up nice and tall, and then she can windshield wiper her back leg to get ready to stand up. And if this front foot is out here a little bit, give me your foot, thank you. If this front foot is out here a little bit, she can scoot it back to get herself in place. All right? Sometimes this front foot will kind of be out wide, or it'll be out in front, and you have to scoot it back to get it in place, and that's okay. All right? Go ahead and windshield wipe your back leg and come on back down. Hand down, good. And then coming back down is a lot easier than getting back up. So this is going to be the hardest one to get, and this is going to be the hardest one to really nail, to be able to get up. Now, once we've got to 3/4, then we can stand all the way up and then come all the way back down. So let's go ahead and grab our weight. We'll stand all the way up. Scoot to me a little bit. There we go. Yep. Yes, you did. All right, we're good. Okay? So all we're doing is we're going to roll and press. We're going to go through our half. We're going to get to our 3/4, and then we're going to stand all the way up. Okay, sweep the leg through, watch the knee, nice job, shoulders up, windshield wiper. Okay, now from here, her eyes are forward, okay, she's in a lunge position. This back toe is driving into the ground, sprinter stance with her back toe. Her front foot, she already adjusted it herself. She did a good job with that, getting ready to stand up. Now, when you go to stand, really drive this front foot through the ground and drive yourself up and punch the sky with your kettlebell. Here we go, up nice and tall. Nice job. Now, your first couple times you do this, odds are you're going to stumble, okay? Because with the weight overhead, it's hard for your body to really understand how to maintain that your first couple times. So odds are you're going to stumble the first couple times that you stand up from that lunge position, okay? So from here to get back down, the important thing is how far back do you step? So give me this because I want to do a couple bad steps. Okay, keep that right arm nice and straight. And I want you to give me just some narrow steps so you're nice and close. Good. Now, she didn't step back very far. Notice she's not as open as she was whenever she went to stand up. So standing up is pretty easy. Coming back down, making sure that you get enough depth with this back foot so that you have enough room between your front foot and your back foot to sweep back out whenever we go back down is important. So go ahead and stand back up for me. Good. Now give me a good one. Big step back. Nice. Now you notice how she stepped back, and now she has a bunch of room between this back knee and this front foot. Right here, this back knee and this front foot. There's a bunch of room here. She has a 90-degree angle with this front knee, 90-degree angle at her ankle, 90-degree angle at her hip. This is perfect right here. Her big step, again, it's a lot bigger than you think that it is, and you have to be comfortable with that step. And that's the biggest thing, is being comfortable with that big step back. So go ahead and come on up, and we'll finish off with our weight. Good. Keep it nice and straight. So remember, no narrow steps. We want a big step back. Big step back. Good. Now we're in our 3/4 get-up position. And from here, we just have to windshield wipe our back leg. Good. Our hand goes down. Nice. Nice neutral spine. Good. Hips down. Good. Elbow and back. Good. Bring your bell down nice and slow. So, a couple of important points that I'm going to go over again right now that we've talked about in depth so far. With our 3/4 get up, watch your leg sweep. Watch where your knee goes. Make sure it's out and not in line with your front foot. If you get it in line, you're not going to have a good enough base to get yourself up into a lunge position. Whenever you come back down for your get up, make sure you take a big enough step back so that your front knee and your front hip are at 90 degrees. So if you're too close in here and you go to get back to your hand, you're going to have a much less stable base, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to maneuver. And then from there, it's just getting back down, coming down to your elbow, keeping it under control. Controlling yourself on the way back down is equally as important as controlling on the way back up. Remember, it's not how fast you can do something, it's how well you can do it slow. Not how fast you can do it, how well can you do it slow. So, like we already talked about with the straight leg sit-ups, use your body weight up until you do 3 sets of 12. Use a weight from 10 to 20 pounds until you can do 3 sets of 12. Once you get to half get-ups, we want to work up to about sets of 5. Do all of your progressions with body weight first. So 3 sets of 5. Once you can do 3 sets of 5 with your half get-up with body weight under control, feel like you can actually maintain it, go ahead and do your 3/4 get-up, work up to 3 of them, 3 sets of 3 of your 3/4 get-up, and then we want to do a full get-up, and you want to work up to 2 of them. Okay, so you want to get 3 sets of 2, really good, under control, full get-ups all the way up, all the way down. Once you can do that, then you can grab some weight, and then we can do the same progression. Okay, up to sets of 12 for your straight leg, up to sets of 5 for your half, up to sets of 3 for your 3/4, and up to sets of 2 for your full. Okay, if you guys have any questions on these or anything else, feel free to shoot us a tweet on Twitter. At the Thrive Pack. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, nice job. That was a lot longer than I expected it to be. I'm sure it does.